Everybody, we're coming down to sort of the end of it. I guess we could be just starting it, depending on how you're watching the videos. I am
That's
Jesse
right.
Grabowski, and that is Paul Ashman. How y'all doing?
Time is a flat circle.
I, I don't know, what does flatness have to do with it?
I'm just, it's a thing people say.
Is it this
Okay,
thing that
so
Joss Sweden says?
no, it was a True Detective reference, man. Get with it.
I don't. I'm told you
I
should
know.
never fall asleep on True Detective. That that's nothing that ever turns out well.
Okay, pop culture TV shows, man. Boy,
Not
I don't
my
know.
not my forte. Let's talk about spells today. We love spells because we love Shugenja.
We do. We are big Shugenja fans. We're big fans of spells, and Fangs of the Heavens is actually something that's pretty sweet. I think so.
Yeah,
That's
this
a
is an
good one to
awesome
get
ability
started
to
with.
put on naval Shugenja. Ooh.
Hey, So why is it awesome? Because range to attack, and then if you're Thunder, you can make a second range to attack. Like that's pretty awesome. The inability to combine them is frustrating, but you can interrupt them with like unholy strike type things,
Yep.
which is pretty cool.
So we have six
But
unholy strikes now, and plus
a long
Shield of
time
Camel's
ago,
Flame.
a long time ago in a land far, far away, there's a called sneak attack that people would actually play.
That's
And
right.
so this is like one of those. Like, so if you put this personality loses it cannot gain naval, my very first thought is like, well, I can still just play sneak attack, right?
It's true.
And as a sneak attack thing, this could be really great. Now it's only really great if there's, multiple targets from our range two attacks,
Okay,
but
but
that's pretty cool.
Conflagration is a completely playable spell, and that makes
Yep.
its two range three attacks. Like you have six copies of Unholy Strike now, and so these are conceivably like a range two and a range four.
Yep.
So the first range two fight you shoot up the follower. Second one you pump up, make a range four color guy. Like that's not bad.
Absolutely. Shoot the two force follower, hit him with the unholy. It's really great. Now it does have to blow up the spell for that, and you have to be playing Mantis because that's who has Thunder Shugenja.
Yep.
But that's all really cool, and this is one of those cards. Um, I don't know if there's a Thunder Fire guy to do the conflagration combo, but this is one of those cards that make me think about things like conflagration, where it's like, what can I do? Like, this is a good card that if I tweak it just so is an awesome payoff, and sort of how can I get that? And I think that's a really fun little designed card, and it's still pretty straightforward. Hey, it's ranged attacks.
Agreed. And this card, like, it's not as powerful as, but it is in the same school of card as Guerrilla Tactics. And remember Guerrilla Tactics. So cards like this that make two range
I know.
attacks are very, very powerful if you can get the
It's in the
payoff.
same school, but it's at it's over in like
It's in the
the
remedial class. I mean,
kindergarten.
it
Yeah,
didn't
it's like
take the same
Unit
bus to
Space.
school.
That's right.
It definitely had a personal aid in math class to help it through the division. But
That's it.
you know what I mean?
It's
Like
in that.
two
No,
ranged attacks at once, like that ain't nothing.
and if you ever get a card like after ranged attack, do something else, or if you're like it just this card makes multiple triggers for that. So all good news.
Good news bears, not bad news bears. Nourished by fallen leaves. This is something that you do if you're trapped in the woods.
Is
You really need to
true.
eat, or you are a sheep.
I am told that if you run mud on yourself, that something happens.
I don't really get this card. Like,
Okay,
okay, I
so
get this card insofar
it,
as it gives you Conqueror. I
it's
like
a way
Conqueror.
for it's another way to get like spells into the keyword game. Sometimes they
The
feel left out because like
keyword
it's like
game.
being a Shugenja, you're already in the keyword game, but sometimes you feel like you're just there sort of
Oh,
for fun. Like you showed
Shugenja.
up you showed up to play the game, but everybody else is having fun and you don't really
Oh, man.
appreciate it. But now you have to also have Earth, so you get to play the game
No,
like
so you got it all wrong. The thing about Shugenja is they're in the keyword game, but Shugenja are like the Univision. They're like they got their whole other keyword game. Like everyone's playing the keyword game, then Shugenja all get together and play Los Keywords Jogos. Like it's all about finding the right, earth, air, fire, void,
Yep.
like within their one little keyword. So they get hardcore about it.
So this card's pretty sweet in that I feel like just throwing out Conqueror for 0 gold is pretty sweet. I
Yep.
mean,
We
I've never used
previously have decided that
Guided.
Conqueror is worth 1 gold.
Right. So, and then it gives you sort of these little bump up bonuses. So, I mean, if you somehow had a deck that was filled with Earth Shugenja that was a very attacking and you wanted some Conqueror to help play offense, defense, or mess with the math, then, like, okay, I just like a lot of spells, and like all cards, you're competing for fate space, and this just seems a little underpowered because it's like I need to have
Yeah.
this plus enough Earth Shugenja plus enough Bow effects, and not for me.
I think this card loses every day to Guidance in War, just because I'd always rather pay 4 gold for +2 Force flat and
Well,
Conqueror than I would
I
for
can
this variable Force and Conqueror
I
for
can make
0.
an argument now that this is simpler because it's free, and since we anticipate attachments being blown up by the one duelist strategy card, that maybe you don't want to ever invest in a spell. But yeah,
I don't know. I think it's hard to push me off paying 3 gold for Final Ruin.
I think you're right. And we're on to Numinous Mantra,
Not
which is
numerous mantra and not
yeah,
luminous mantra. I think
Numinous.
they're lit up numbers.
Okay, sounds about right. I'm pretty sure numinous has something to do with prophecies. I'm pretty sure I've heard this word before. If you
Well,
know what this word actually means, please someone leave a comment.
we could look it up,
So
but far be it from me to
no,
learn
no,
something.
no, no.
This is exactly the same as the other one, the tactician one that lets us tack twice. This lets us take 2 battle axes. We still can't kill your guys, but spells are pretty flush with little pumpy effects, right? So we can Numinous Mantra and then cast our also you're going to get +1 Force spell, or
No,
cast our.
I like this one a lot less. I felt like the way the tactician one worked is you'd play it and then you tack 2 cards, gain big force bonuses, and still have access to those 2 cards, and it gave you, that you sort of get discipline on things that don't have discipline. I just you're playing a deck filled with spells. You use this and then go like Burning Spirit a bunch.
Well, probably not because you engaged those.
Yeah, so I guess the one that's like give all your Shugenja +1 force, and you can do that 2 times, which isn't bad. I will say that there's a part of me that envisions like a scenario where I use Numinous Mantra as a naval action off my Mizuhiku, and I can use like summon the water so you can't send anything home, and then give all my guys +1 force, and maybe that makes my army just much tougher for them to deal with their action set. So
Mm-hmm.
like I can see some scenarios where this card sort of really has great value, and it doesn't blow itself up. And so I guess you can sort of chain them into each other just for like Choli Loli Lols. Like lose the Numinous Mantra and then use this other Numinous Mantra and then I don't know straight. But okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh,
It's a bit of a Johnny card. It's nice to have those. The problem is, like we always say, there's not a lot of payoff. You start thinking about cards like Summon Water Kami, and
just play
then
the card. Just play a bunch of cards that do things, and then
you'll be all right.
it's the philosopher problem, right? It's like, I can take 2 more actions. Well, now what? Well, I can take more actions. Well, now what? At some point, you have to get to the meat and the potatoes.
On Stormborn Wings.
And he will raise you up on Stormborn wings. Doesn't really work. Okay, Thunder engage. So it's an engage step. Sometimes when you read these cards, you have to sort of pay really close attention to that bolded keyword. It's very easy to read an effect like this and just think, oh, like that's an okay battle action, I guess. But this is not a battle action. It is an engage action. Totally different. Completely different.
It's a total different phase of the game, man.
Right. So the next time, so you get to do it sort of like before they target. So you
You
give
force
your
them, yeah. It's like a pseudo anti-sneak. You're
yeah.
saying that you must deal with this guy first, which is nice for Shugenja deck. So I've got like my big, huge phallic charger over here. I Stormborn Wings this little Pudwhacker that's come along. You must target him first. So I absolutely force you.
It's all Mizuhiko to me, right? I throw it on Mizuhiko, and it's like I tag one of my guys, and now and I go like, I go Thunder engage this guy, and then use Mizuhiko's naval to like send one of your dudes home, and then your first action has to deal with my sort of worthless little 1 force guy.
Yep.
And so like that specific build is something that I'm going to be looking into, and I think that's a fine interaction. The reason this card will end up not seeing a lot of play is because in Phoenix you have Mizuhiku, who's just sort of way low down here. He's much cheaper and just not very. Most decks are built around this homogenous sea of humanity where a lot of your parts are interchangeable. So like forcing you to target this 3-3 for 5 Shugenja instead of that 3-3 5 Shugenja. It doesn't really get you anywhere.
I disagree because that's only true after the guys enter play from the provinces. Like some of your Shugenja have important spells and some of them don't.
Oh,
And so
that's fair.
Stormborn Wings lets you say you can't target this guy that's got Final Rune. You got to target this guy over here.
Yeah, so it lets you sort of build your tower, and if you have a lot of these, no, it's only the next time.
That's
So you can
one. So
only
this
really
is a
give,
one-off card. This is
yeah,
not a three-off card. It's like a
you
one or
can't.
two at tops. The only problem with this card is that it only deals with personalities.
Yep.
So if you play a card like say your duelist card that specifically doesn't target personalities, it targets
No,
attachments,
yeah, it's like, yeah,
they
it's
can still
exactly.
blow up your thing. And so it's like a way for them to get around it. They just have to take any action. Like it doesn't say the next time they take an action that targets a personality. It says the next time they take an action.
And they can do something like use their onboard like range something fear effect or something. Like there's a lot of ways to just blow an action, but it still gives you a little bit of
I
tempo.
mean, it gives
So.
you tempo, so it's like a pseudo motion if you have naval.
Yep.
You go, engage this,
Yep.
naval take an action, they wasted action, you go take an action. And like that's a lot. Two actions right off the tip is a lot. And so I think this is a great one-off. I'll be playing it. I just don't think that you can ever play more than one because of how it just wombo nombos
Yeah, it's just sort
itself.
of dead with in multiples. So on to a card that once upon a time I feel like we would have been like, this is a card for us. We love this card, and now it's just
Once
sort
upon a time, I'm gonna try it now. So it's a zero cost spell that draws two cards.
of no. I mean, it draws one card and puts one in the yard, right?
No. Show the top three. A player chooses a discard. Oh, I see. They discard what I discard when I draw. And so never mind. I don't like this card twice so much.
Yeah, and there's been a million types of cards like this. It's not fact or fiction, guys. It's not Jace Architect of Thought. You're not gonna, the games are fundamentally different. But also, it goes back to the problem of like you could put these cards in your deck, and this doesn't cost you anything. You just show it down, and okay, so you've cycled it, but you've gotten a little bit of card selectivity. But the way decks are built these days, that kind of selectivity doesn't matter because most of the time you want sort of quantity of effects anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what are you trying to bring? Now, you can, if you have enough discipline cards, you can go like pick the non-discipline card, leave the discipline cards in the yard, and I do think that's a place for this. And I could maybe see it as a full focus off if you have Splash again, you had some kind of dual deck where it's like I need to build. I'm specifically looking for my Battlefield Challenge. I'm specifically looking for my come one at a time. So I'm gonna sort of try to dig for those. Except if I'm specifically looking for that one card, the opponent's gonna read that and he's gonna just be like, discard that one important card. So it's like you have to have
Mm-hmm.
a very specific sort of fate deck setup where you can get great value out of this card. And I just don't know if that fate deck exists, and if it does exist, like what faction is it? What is that strategy? Is it good enough?
Yeah, it's either that or the opponent has to have absolutely no idea what's going on. And like
Yeah,
this is one of those combo cards, control cards that a year ago would have been excellent. I would have played tons of. I would have had 100 copies of this card. But now, like I don't know what I'm digging for. I don't know what I'm doing. Like even if I bust out my like Jesse's Crazy Book of Brews, even in my wildest zaniest stuff, I don't really have any use for this card because the wildest zaniest thing I can do is like figure out a way to make a range 10.
yeah, and so that's exactly it. So I mean, it's a nice card to sort of keep in the back of your head, and maybe it'll have some application in like modern or something, and we're not thinking in those terms of sort of impact. But even then, I kind of tend to doubt it.
Well, this
But
is a card. If something comes together, like as the card pool gets bigger and bigger, like maybe an extended, or even just as they print for more cards. Like, okay, let's talk about stepping behind the tapestry, a card we do really love.
yeah, I mean, this is the sort of thing that I love. I love these sort of like I like spells that are sort of spell as the weird card type. I like spells that are just sort of like completely different and confusing. And of course, this isn't 100% completely different, but it's pretty different. So you throw it on your guy, and you can't target my guy. You can still target my guy's attachments, and my guy doesn't do anything, and his attachments don't do anything. But you can't target my guy, and so as long as I'm air, I can just have this big rock of force, and that's pretty cool. I don't think it can make a good deck with it, but I think it's a pretty cool sort of idea of like what happens with I have the Air Dragon and I put a ton of stuff on it and I'm just a million force and then I'm like attack. Of course, it's hard to make the Air Dragon a million force because I won't let it have weapons and followers, but whatever.
Well, you still got your clan champ or like you guys still got the Phoenix champ and she becomes Air because this is Air and then she's like 5 force and she's got some followers and you attack and I don't know.
So that's the offensive uses, which is how I like to play my cards. I think the real value is defensively. You put it on a guy who doesn't care about having force at the battle anyway, and it's just there to ensure that like this stupid guy is going to sit here and defend and let me play my inexplicable challenges and my usurpations and my block supply lines, and you can't send him home. He is here and he is staying here, and you just have to deal with it. Which we've already talked about how Honor sort of making a push. This card is great for Honor if you have some number of airs.
This solves because you don't even need an air.
You can't do anything. For this one. Yeah. It's true.
Because you don't care about it. I think that this is an awesome card because it solves all the problems that Honor had against like Mantis. Honor can never ever beat Mantis because you have all these little idiots and have all these little range 2-3 attacks, and they just go like naval kill your guy. You get to take one action for 2 personalities, and you're just never beating that math. But now you just play this, and they can't target you, and like you just sit there and exactly what Paul said: action, gain 6 honor, lose the battle, win the game.
Exactly the same for Scorpion Dishonor as well, who have plenty of Shugenja, plenty of Air Shugenja, if that's something you care about. And throw this on the one guy who's like, after you do anything, draw a card. And then, now my one guy can defend, and I'm going to play my encircled terrain, and that guy's going to sit there, and you can't go shoot my guy, blow up my terrain, right? Like, you can blow up my terrain, but then I still get to take my ramifications and do it. So, like, that's where this card finds its value. And it's a really good card that I expect to see some percentage of play in those kinds of defensive decks.
Yep, at least 6 copies in top 8 of Gen Con. That's a little aggressive.
Yeah, wow. I will say at least 2 copies.
Yeah, 2 copies is more realistic. Just those Shugenja-based honor decks seem really well positioned to me. Terrible Revelations. This is another force bonus. We've seen a million of these. This one gives us expendable, but I feel like of all the new keywords we've seen in this last. Ivory 20 Festivals expendable has been sort of the poopiest.
Yeah, I mean it just hasn't produced the same because your guy has to die, and I'm not gonna worry about that line of text. I mean, expendable is what expendable is.
I'm saying like the void. I talk about that only because this is exactly the same as the other one that we already have. The like get a force pump equal to half your chi, and it's also a battle open.
Yeah, I mean so. This is one of those things where, invert ways this Shugenja's chi to his force, and it'd be awesome. It'd be this insane, very powerful chaser card where it's like, because you can pump a guy's force first, but now it's just like you can turn guys who aren't normally sort of attacky into more attacky. And I think of there's the dragon guy who's 1 force 5 chi, the Walter White, and you could like use this and give him a token and attack and okay. And there's a similar guy in Phoenix who's 5 chi and 2 force, so it's a +3 force. But at the end of the day, this is a card that's like bowing to give you +3 force maybe or +2 force, and that's okay, especially since it's cost 0 gold. But there's plenty of ways to gain that amount of force for 1 or 2 points of gold, so it's just not that much better.
Yeah, my main problem with this card is...
Nobody plays those cards, right? People only play Conflagrations.
My main problem with this card is how it nombos with Stones of Purity. Like, if you put a Stones on Walter White, suddenly this card says bow to do nothing.
Yep, that's well, you would use it before you put the Stones on, so like for 1 turn you could have a big push of force.
Right, but only for 1 turn. And then, like, you could never run these cards, so you're running this instead of Stones of Purity, and I'm not sure that's correct.
Yeah, it just doesn't, there may come a time where this card's really great if they print a, 4 chi Shugenja for 4 gold, who's, 0 force, I guess he'd be. And you could go, like, buy that guy on 1, throw this down, go to 4 force, so you've sort of functionally bought a 4 force guy. Like, maybe then you can pay some gold and throw down attachments, some sort of blitz enable thing, and I'll look for those kinds of things in the card pool to go for. But right now, I just don't think any of this. Plus, it's so uncommon to get no presence force bonuses. So
Hmm. Okay. The space between.
yes. Okay. This
This is a
action has
Shugenja
ab-
enabler card or a
yeah, and
Sensei enabler card, which makes me hate it.
is it? Oh, just because it's water.
Well, it's a
I
water
mean,
that moves, yeah.
yeah, I was thinking that this is just like, people play Home Tour of the Razor's Edge, and this is just sort of a permanent sort of move in thing or move home thing. It's a fine card. It's a great card, I
Home
guess.
straightens you,
Yeah, that's true. This lets you like commit a bunch of guys and then run some of them back.
I guess.
And it's only absent when it's on a water guy, which just kind of annoys me. I mean, I think
It's
this
the
is a fine card. It's just really unexciting. We have these we have the move in effect in a bunch. We don't have a ton of just move home, right? So it's sort of mashing the two together. Uh, but okay, I mean, like, if you show up with your Shugenja military deck and you have like two Hone to the Razor's Edge and two spaces in between, I'm not gonna say like that's the wrong mixture of that. Or maybe you cut a Ring of Water for spaces in between, or even Ring of Earth for space. Like, okay, I'm fine with that.
I don't know if I'm fine with
This
that.
isn't this isn't the first type of this effect that's going into my deck, but if you're one of those people that like, you're building your deck and you want like, five straight effects and five sort of anti-send home effects, and you decide like this is going to be anti-send home effect, number 4, 5, or 6, like okay.
But over Earth or Water, this only targets the guy that it's on. You can't cast this from one chug into another one.
Well, but it's replayability. You can use it multiple times a game, and in those decks that specifically you're maybe playing a deck that likes to like put Void into play. So there's a type of deck that's like it wants to play as many spells as it can because it wants to throw its hand onto the table and then draw cards with Void straight to the fifth thing and then throw those cards onto the table. So those cards they just specifically don't want one use ring type effects because they want to just like draw their cards, get them down, draw their cards, get them down, draw their cards.
Are you saying that there are players that don't just play Void no matter what?
Yes, it's hard to believe. It's sort of like how there are people who still watch reality television. No one will ever admit to it. No one will like say I'm one of those people, but that we know that they're out there.
Let's talk about the most important aspect of this card, which is that it reveals that Ichiwatu, in fact, won that fight with the fish.
That's right.
He's still out there. He's
Well,
not honorably dead.
We're so convinced though that that's like an evil fish, right? Some sort of zombie
He was in there
fish.
for a while, so if you look in sort of the background of the picture, there's that waterfall pond he was fighting in. It looks like he's
Yeah.
made it like a little bit down the stream in the time that's passed since he was
So
printed.
maybe the fish put him to near death and then like left him alone because the fish is like has a sense of honor. It's a very Doctor Doom type fish where it's like, oh, I'll almost kill you, but then now that I've beaten you, I'll let you come back to life and tells tales of how you fought this evil fish.
Tracing with the mountain's finger. Do mountains have fingers? Is this?
I mean, are they one big finger? Is that what we're saying? So like you're painting with this one really big immobile thing.
Can you? So in Pocahontas, the mountains have voices, and the
I
winds can paint.
No, you paint with all the colors of the leaves. I
No, you
thought.
paint with all the colors of the wind. Stop. No, don't. You sing with all the
What do you
voices of the
think?
mountain, and you paint with all the
No,
colors
you
of the
sing
wind.
with the voice of the blue corn moon, man.
No. Have you ever? I'm letting you do this to me. So this card I'm not very excited about. It makes a range 2 consistently, like really consistently, and sometimes makes a range 3.
I don't know. So you say really consistently. It has to have been increased to reduce this turn. So
No, it's
like,
melee 1 plus 1 if you're Earth. So I think putting this
oh,
on an
okay.
Earth, playing Los Ki War Jugos means that you can put this on an Earth Shigenja and you're fine. So
You're
that's
absolutely right. So that's perfectly solid. Then people play Unholy Strike, and it's just a little bit more of that. I don't know if just
no. I think you're off as a comparison to Unholy Strike. Unholy Strike wouldn't get play if it just said Battle Melee 2.
that's true. So it's more like a lame Ashigaru Archers, I think,
Yeah,
is the card.
that's exactly what it is. It's Ashikawa Archers doesn't redraw, and then has some like slight potential upside.
Yeah.
The
So
upside is good because range 3 is way better than range 2. It's better than one more point of ranged attack.
Much harder to trigger this though. That
I
little
have no
bonus.
idea like what the consistent trigger engine is. Like what card am I supposed to be playing this with that makes it so that I always get that +1?
Like the mountain's feet or something, but yeah, that gets pretty gimmicky. So yeah, I think this is this card. I mean, there's so many ways to make ranged and melee attacks, and you can just play your Sailor's Warning type cards instead. You compare this to the what Fangs of the Heaven is the one that we started this out with. It just always makes 2, but then with Thunderous, I just feel like this is a card that's just outclassed by lots of other cards.
Absolutely. Even a card like Stealing the Candle's Flame, that's like a 2 that can bump another thing up by 2. It's way better.
Yep.
Trick of the Moon's Light. We've seen a million of these illusion spells. No one ever played them. No one will ever play this.
Yeah, I mean they're getting cheaper and cheaper, and the illusions still don't really matter. They don't really do it. It's sort of like the other spell.
Right. Especially, yeah, we just saw Stepping Behind the Tapestry, which is like this card on like super duper
Yeah,
drugs.
because you can just put it on your normal guy. So the value of these cards is that they make your dirty guy with which to defend. Only the dirty guy you make can still be sent home and killed and destroyed, and this one costs more gold. So I think you'd always just be better off in those situations playing that, right? Like this just gives you more sort of chumpies to throw out there, and I don't, yeah.
Yeah, I love the top line too. That like if you can only use it once if you're not air, as though this effect is so good that you need to play Los Keyword Jugos. I don't.
Yeah, yeah, so I mean, I kind of like as just as a thing that spells do. There's a long history of spells that make guys. We have some in the set, even we still have some in Undead Champ, right? I mean, I like that, and so I like this sort of effect. I just don't. I just wish the guy. I wish my illusion was cooler. You know what I'm saying? Like I wish my
Yeah,
illusion was like
cards of that. This is a lot like my putting this
Worthless
next to
3.
Undead Champ is a lot like me putting our Thunder Spell next to Gorilla Attack. Like they're sort of the same, but not really at all.
Yeah, it's just like it's just hard to. It's very easy to imagine the sort of deck where Undead Champ is like getting you value and profit. It's very hard for me to envision a deck where a 0-4 guy is getting
Is
you
where you
anything.
want to be. Yeah.
Like we don't play, we don't play Lion Shugenja who makes infinitely large ancestor guys, right? It's hard to turn those things into good stuff.
Yeah.
Veil of Water. If this Shugenja is unbowed and targeted by the battle action, bow him, negate the action, and you may move him home if he is water.
You know what this
Okay, so
card works really
super
well with?
awesome
That's in
unit. What?
like super unit. I've got a bunch of followers attached. You veil me, and then I can start balancing. I can balance a nothingness after.
Yeah.
I kind of like
Yeah.
that. I don't know, like, you can't really super unit. Like, if I have a bunch of stuff attached, because it doesn't say if you target his unit, it just says if you target him.
Right.
So I guess it stops send home if you've got a bunch of followers, but it doesn't protect your followers, it doesn't protect your items.
I think it'll protect you from pacifying. So yeah, I mean,
Not enough.
negation is powerful. Negation is a powerful thing. So like if this is just water interrupt, bow your Shugenja to negate an action, that's super duper insane, right? It's like it's the sun's returned multiple times over. So this is them sort of like how can we make it a bit more fair, a bit more balanced, a bit more fitting in. And I feel like this is probably as close to this type of card as you're going to get. I just don't know if it's good enough to a powerful side to see play. In fact, I'll go ahead and say it's probably not. I like super units, but that's just not really the game that we play.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do play super units now, it's probably built around the Phoenix Conqueror for 10 gold who gives reductions to fire spells, and this doesn't fit in there very well because then my big dude's bowed. Yeah, it just you don't want to bow your Shugenja if Shugenja himself is the super unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you have to have a straighten effect already built in, unless all your attachments are followers. It just doesn't like the deck doesn't come together. The card pool doesn't support a card like this, but maybe one day.
It is the kind of card you keep in the back of your head, and when it gets good, it gets really, really good.
It's like interrupting the void's flow. which is you put that on a different guy who's not your super unit. So, and we end with the warning flame. I love the idea that like, oh man, bad stuff's coming. What am I gonna do? I gotta tell everybody. I'll start a fire. Let's do that. Like that makes sense. Like here, quick, everybody, fire! They'll clear the snow. What this fire means.
This is another one of those stolen payoff cards of like I I build my giant unit, I cast Warning Flame, and I get 3/4.
Yeah, at its best, it's +3 force, which just isn't enough, right? Like we're not. It's not
Now it's
enough.
a 0/4 spell, and like I can see this. I guess I get that this one's capped. Like I can see it going out of control. Of like I play a bunch of 0 gold cost spells. I buy
Everything
my
goes
3
on
gold
one. It's
Shugenja.
simple. It would be everything goes on one Shugenja. I
Yeah,
use my
absolutely. Cast
flame.
Warning
I give my
Flame.
guy.
Go to
I,
10
I give my
force.
guy +5, and then I would go like Jade Ascension, give my guy a bunch more force. Like the Jade Ascension is what would blow it open, right?
Yep,
Because
yep.
you could just like target your own thing and make it massive. But why can't I do that? Like
Well, I mean,
what?
as it stands, you might still be able to do that. Like we
Why is that wrong?
play like 3 gold naval Shugenja, just like all boxable shugs out of Phoenix, and with a bunch of 0. Like you
My
play
guy
your
still
Void, like boost up to 3 force, then you cast Warning Flame up to 6 force, and then like pay some gold and get a Conflagration or something up to 9 force.
Guy still has to be opposed for it, which just
Oh,
sort of
right, right,
sums up
right.
all of its value to take provinces unopposed. So then it's like I attack with all my dirty little dudes. It's like I got like 6 force, and you play anything, and I get really
And
sad.
I have no actions. I guess with that opposed line, I don't feel like it should. Maybe it shouldn't be capped. Maybe it could just be gain a bunch of force. Off we go.
Right. Without the cap, I could maybe try to boost some stuff with this. With the cap, I just sort of say this isn't nearly good enough, and I can blow it up.
Fighter jets overhead. Just reminding us who's in charge of the mainland.
I uh, I guess I can blow it up to Kosai Sensei. That's always fun. Makes
Yeah, okay.
range
It
3
makes
attack.
this card is a 0 gold range 3 attack. It is strictly better than tracing with the mountain's finger in a Kosai Sensei deck.
So there you go. Cracked it.
So those are the spells.
And
Couple cool, exciting ones. I like Step Behind the Tapestry. I like our make 2 ranged attacks.
yep,
But for the most part, a lot of head scratchers and some cards to keep our eyes on moving forward. Which
a
is
continuation of spells as just sort of a different kind of action type.
which is
Which I mean,
good.
that's what attachments are now. So.
So hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what you think about spells in the comments. Until next time, I'm Jesse and that is Paul, and this has so certainly been Enough Talk.